Well, George, I have a black screen, but I also see that you're here. So I'm unclear as to why I have a black screen. Let's try this again. Well, there's George, but there's no George. Why am I not seeing his camera? Can you hear me, George? George can't even hear me. This is weird. Let's see here. Let's try this. Go like this. And I go like this. There's George. Can you hear me, George? George, I'm talking to you. Hey, Mike, are you there?
Ignoring you.
George must be ignoring me. I don't know.
See if yeah, I was.
Oh, there he goes. All right.
It's easy to do.
No. Connection issues. Yeah, I was trying to get in here, but
the first time I brought you up, it was just a black screen, but I was looking at your camera and I'm like, I see George, but I have a black screen for George's spot. So it was confusing.
Yeah. Why come you only have half a face?
Because my camera,
it's not even your good side.
As if I had one. I really appreciate the positive words. A good side. How funny. Oh, welcome everybody to the Livin Life and Style Business Roundtable for Wednesday, April 23rd. Joining us to start the day is George Cater and Mike Foote. Please like and subscribe, share the channel, let everybody know about the Business Roundtable. George, kick us off. Tell us who you are, what you do.
Okay. Well, obviously we know my name. Best way to describe me professionally, I'm an investment advisor at a really unique, non-traditional firm out in Leawood. Face value, what people get excited about us for are alternative assets. So I do a lot with private commercial real estate. We just rolled out a new VC fund that we are putting together that's doing some pretty unique things. And just a very different approach, non-traditional way of thinking.
Fantastic. Mike Foote, tell us who you are and what you do.
Mike Foote, Summit Lending. Do mortgages, mortgage broker. Work with a few dozen lenders for some home buyers. I've got conducting some new first-time home buyer webinars I've been doing.
When's your next one?
My next one is the 1st, May 1st.
All right.
And
do you have like a link?
You can go to mikeshomeschool.com.
Mike'sHomeschool.com.
I was going to do Mike's special ed, but maybe that
probably wouldn't have gone nearly as well.
Probably more appropriate.
We need to get the link, and that way I can put it like in the chat in the description next time. Might help. Who knows? The wonderful world of the web. Yeah. So I have the question of the day to kick us off. The question of the day is, looking ahead in 2025, what's one key area of your business that you're planning to invest more time and resources into? I obviously have chosen marketing and live streaming podcasts, as well as more network marketing events like the one I go to with Mike every other Tuesday. So that's how I got it. Now that's pretty much like the entire and I launched my new website. So my website's now launched with livinlifeandstyle.com. It's all updated, branded, and it'll really improve my efficiencies on building trips out and marketing those trips. So like my whole focus for entirety of 2025 has all been about marketing my own individual agency and not just taking the corporate leads I've been getting. So I kicked it off. Who wants to go next?
I'll go. So I mean, I know, like I was saying, the Zoom webinars that I'm doing.
Right.
I'm focusing on building value, like bringing value to myself. Like that, I bring the real estate agents and stuff because I don't like going to them and asking them for business. So I'm trying to create my own pipeline of pre-approved borrowers, people that are ready to buy, and I've already run them through the ringer. and then I can bring them to an agent and say, like, hey, the agents that I want to bring them to.
Right.
I don't have to go to some ask some Yahoo for something, or get their something that's been kicked out of somewhere else. I get a lot of that. I'm kind of a fixer, so I get a lot of stuff where people call me up and go, "Hey, this fell out over here. Can you save us? I gotta make a house payment." That's usually realtors like, I gotta make my car payment. So, but that's kind of where I'm focusing right now, is away from marketing to them in that manner. So in my mind, once I start doing that, when I get a good solid pipeline and foundation of that coming in, then that's going to create, like, it's going to give me leverage on the agent, because I'm going to go to the agent and go, here's a lead for you, pre-approved,
Absolutely.
or you don't have to do anything, but I'll have another one. You want number two, you got to start bringing your other stuff to me too. So
right.
Like, I'm going to bring you leads. They don't have to pay for it. They don't have to do anything, but you got to bring your other stuff to me too. So if you want my stuff for free, because they pay, like Zillow leads and stuff like that are expensive.
Oh yeah, they're ridiculous.
So I'll bring it to you for free, but you got to bring me your other stuff. So in theory, it'll multiply my business out and grow it in that way, which they'll be fawning over me, like they don't already, but they'll be fawning over me to get these deals because they'll already have them. And like I said, it's free to them. They don't have to pay anything. Some of these agents, they're on teams or they're whatever, and they have self-generated leads that they get paid more.
Right.
They don't have to split it with their team leader if it's their own deal. So there's a lot of benefits to that for them.
So, and consider this a follow-up, and you can kind of think about this too, George, before we get to yours. So we all only have so much time in our given day, given work week, hours we're working throughout the entire course of the year. So if that's the case, and you're putting more investment into this new marketing strategy of yours, Mike, what is the thing you're letting go? What is the type of effort that you're getting rid of, and so you can free up the time to do this other stuff?
It's really the setup was probably more time consuming than anything, and then I'm in reality, I'm not giving up hardly anything at all. An hour and a half, because the system that I got is so dialed in that all I have to do, like yesterday, I did set up the new webinar and basically go into Facebook ads and I change the ad thing, the dates and the whatever, everything's set up. But what I'm intending on giving up is begging realtors for leads, calling realtors. They don't even have them right now, and they don't have very many. So that's kind of what I'm intending to get out of my life, is calling agents,
chasing realtors.
Right, because
so
most of those people you're good with. You're, as a loan officer, first, everything's my fault anyway, if anything goes bad. But
it's not just because
I've been married for 40 years, so I'm used to that.
It's more because I was gonna say.
but the other thing is, like, you're basically as good as your last deal, right? So I can do 10 deals with a real estate agent over a lifetime and have a huge, excellent rapport with someone, and one deal goes south, and whether it's my fault or not, like, doesn't even matter. Borrow with your job. I mean, I've had some crazy stuff, and doesn't matter. Like, I had one, the appraisal came in $20-something thousand low, which is completely out of my wheelhouse. I have no control over that. By law, I'm not allowed to have any control over the appraisal, even if it's ordered through. But at the same time, it's their fault, because the listing agent is the one who's supposed to really have the value dialed in. And the buyer's agent is supposed to write the contract and make the offer to protect his client. To put those two, the value should be there. It shouldn't be that big a deal. But again, like they're calling, screaming at me because the appraisal came in low. And even after I saved the deal, I went back in and got the buyer, talked to buyers and paying more for the house to save the deal and all that. Still, they were both like, I Never use that guy again.
So is it an additional investment in capital though, or are you substituting
For what I'm doing this deal
for what you're doing? Yeah, with this new effort, are you substituting it from other capital, or are you like, no, I'm spending more money this year because I want to focus on.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'm just rolling more dollars out the door.
Yeah.
But the way our business works, like if I, it's a numbers thing. So if I spend $1,000 a month, is pretty much what I'm going to be spending on like Facebook ads and stuff. So, if you get a deal or two out of it, I can have 3 deals. If I get like 3 deals in a quarter, it'll pay for my initial investment and all of my Facebook.
No, that's not bad.
Ads.
I mean, I had to substitute. I like got rid of my old CRM and web service to get this new website built out. And it's like, because it also had website capabilities, but I didn't really have the skills to utilize them fully. So I
can relate.
Canceled my old CRM, which was costing me a lot more money, and then just hired a web guy to redo my website and utilize the services in this other program that's more travel oriented. So I, had to, and my other one, it was real nice. It had all kinds of automations built for it. So it automatically dial my sales calls. It would, it has like a full power dialer you can build out into it. So once it's time to make the calls, they all stack up in a call order and you just hit play and go. It had a lot of nice features tied in through my phone number.
But you never use them.
Well, I use them, but I'm not using it to the fullest extent of the abilities. So I feel like I'm paying a lot and not getting to use the full system. And with this other one, by hiring a web guy to set it all up for me, I'm now able to, get more use out of this other system, and that's more tailored to travel. It'll track flight delays and shit for my clients. It's pretty freaking awesome. So what about you, George? What is your new how did I phrase it? Let me reread it. Looking ahead to 2025, what's one key area of your business that you're planning to invest more time and resources into?
I'd say it'd probably be marketing. So for me, a big goal of mine, and we talked about this before, Eric, is I think it'd be really cool and just a really good experience to merge personal hobby with your profession, right?
Yeah.
Something you just enjoy doing, something that you can connect with other people on socially. So it's not always about business, but it helps develop a relationship, pretty fast sometimes. So for me, what that looks like is, I have a unique hobby in collecting wine and spirits from a past profession, just past life. But I still do it for fun. So I would say a big focus for me on what I'm going to spend money and capital on. I'm going to continue spending capital on current private networking groups I'm involved with already. They've been pretty beneficial on an institutional level. I do need to focus a bit more on individual planning, because we kind of talked about my business is kind of split between institutional work that I do and then just individual planning, helping families and things like that. I want to focus more on the individual side too. I need to give that a bit more love. So, I'm going to start developing networks and groups of people that like wine and spirits, things like that. Probably dedicate more money to private wine dinners and things of that nature as just an informal kind of way to market, because everything I do, it's purely social, it's relational.
Yep.
I don't need to talk about what I do until someone asks, but eventually it comes up. So, what I've learned is that if I can be passionate about something socially, typically someone's going to ask me what I actually do. Right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So that's kind of,
we talked about it that one time about my buddy who goes to the Mizzou Club for his network marketing, because like nobody knows what I do. If they need radio ads, they'll come talk to me. And the rest of the time I'm just going to enjoy them talking about Mizzou football.
Yeah. So I guess where I'm going with that is I'm trying to develop a presence in a community that I'm kind of passionate about, something I can just really have fun with people and share things with them that are not work related.
Yeah.
I think that'll
finding a niche.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm thinking that's the priority for 2025 is developing that out.
Yeah. And something else we had talked about, because I mean, like you're wanting to do those wine and spirit events, and doing more event things is something I want to do and promote through, my Living Life and Style Travel and Social Club. So, yeah, because now that I've got my website, that's part of me building out my group trip itinerary to promote and market. It's kind of the backbone of my business, and doing that in a wine and spirit setting. We should definitely do some co-marketing in that sphere.
You could have a lot of fun, man. I agree.
I think so, and I think we'd find a lot of crossover. I mean, the people
isn't that a thing, like Eric, when they do cruise, like a webinar or something, or not a webinar, but like a big group thing where you meet everybody there and put a group together. And
oh yeah, and and
like in the mail, like get a free steak or something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They would have different ones where it's like a cruise night, and they get you there and they talk about all the different, and that'd be kind of what it would be like as well. George would bring the wine and spirits and get them all lubed up, liquored up, so they're ready to go to talk about travel and spending money. And George can always drop in and be like, "Are you sure you've got the savings in place for this?" Like, we don't want to sacrifice your future. Mike's like, well, there's a mortgage for that. Just relax.
Dude, I'll refi you, cash out, refi, go on that cruise.
There you go. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we get, that kind of co-marketing sort of stuff, I think would be very beneficial to, any of us in some degree, form or fashion.
That's a really good point, man. Being more intentional with maybe strategic partnerships, because like what you said, Mike, even though something in the process might not really be your responsibility, if someone drops the ball, they're still like, oh, I don't want to work with that guy again on association. So I think maybe going back to that point, I might kind of dial in more on the intentionality with my own strategic partnerships, making sure the right people are in place to either get the job done quickly or effectively, because when other people make you look good, it kind of circles back eventually, and it's really good for business, I feel like.
Yeah, we use a lot of that, and it's like I said, it's always just kind of been a joke on our side of the table, like with like in our company, our lenders, we're always like, well, whatever happens, doesn't matter. The borrower quit the job. I got one right now. The guy quit his job, started a new job right in the middle. Like we're supposed to close tomorrow, and then
are you kidding?
We had to wait. We might be pushed back a couple of days because we had to wait for him to get a pay stub. That was how he hadn't even got his first paycheck yet.
Oh my
god!
So, he couldn't.
And it's always like, we talk about that at the office, and it's like, well, I'm like, well, whose fault that was? I'm like, it's Mike's fault. It's always my fault. Doesn't matter. And the realtors, what's going on? And so it just comes with the territory, and it's when I train new guys or have new people on, there's always telling them, like, bro, you got to get some thick skin, and and it's for me though, it's like I'm a relationship guy. Like I'm loyal to a fault. So if I have if I know somebody, and that's why I run this group that I run, because like I refer more than anybody else in there, but I'll refer anybody to it, and I get a tad offended when someone goes and buys a house somewhere else, whether for me or the agent that's in the group, because we've had that. Oh, so and so's buying a house, and I'm kind of like, what's up with that? Well, my wife's friend, blah 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 blah. So, because I really won't do that, but my point is, like with real estate agents in our business, you have to constantly be out there and be chasing them, or at least be in front of them. I don't like to chase. So, but you have to be there, and they have to know, because even the one you think is your best buddy and been whatever for the longest time, it can fall out. I had a deal like closed last month. The actual agent was hurt. I've done 5 loans, I think, since like December, 4 actual agents buying their house, buying their own personal properties.
Got it.
Which to me, it speaks volumes on that they trust me with more deals. But at the same time, they're difficult. But like this one was like, this deal was falling apart because their income is sketchy, not sketchy, but they write it all off. Your taxes, they just like everybody else. They don't plan 2 years ahead or whatever to have their tax returns set up properly. So when that deal kind of crashes out and I have to go and take it to an alternative deal, then all of a sudden it starts getting sketchy, regardless of the fact that I've talked to you every single day about your tax returns and I need them, give me this stuff. So that was kind of the thing that was kind of on the edge, that relationship. But at the same time, I had brought her a different buyer. I go, here's a buyer. Let's close this. So at the same time, like I know her realtor instinct was to cuss me out and kick me to the curb. But at the same time, I got a buyer that's my buyer that I brought her. I'm going to close this deal. And so it was like, she can't. So I'm like, I got you. So it kind of saved the relationship because we got through all that and all the stuff. And she realized a lot of the issues that were self-generated. She brought a lot of that on herself and didn't listen to what I told her. And then we move on through, we get the other one done. So it's, and now I got a paycheck. So that's okay.
And at the same time though, we always also have to like continue to expand our network because the network will get stale. There will be branches on your network that are going to dry up and break away and just, like you didn't even do anything bad or wasn't intentional. Maybe they leave the industry. Maybe they, move out of the neighborhood where they were meeting everybody for coffee and now they don't meet those people on the same basis anymore. And so they moved on to a different circle. I mean, the idea that we can't, we got to keep that the really good parts of our network really well fed and well watered, so to speak. But we're always going to have to keep looking for new growth in that network because there's going to be a lot that dies off, which, the type of events that like George was talking about, when you are more intentional, like you were saying about what type of events you're holding, you're going to be more intentional about the type of referral sources or client bases that you're going to be appealing to. It's kind of like when Mike does the webinars. He's doing the webinars to appeal to a certain segment, and he's going to continuously be building this referral, this group of referrals, which is, it's like feeding dandelions, man. It's fresh ground. It's going to pop up all over the place, being like, this dude just be bringing me freaking leads. And that's going to attract realtors to him. People who like wine and spirits. It's got kind of like a cigar club. It's not for it's not for people who don't have means. I mean, at the end of the day, it's really not. It's kind of like car collecting. You know who doesn't collect cars? Poor people. Yeah. You know why? Because it's expensive. And I mean, it's same for trips, high-end trips, who's going on them, I just read a thing about a 100-day world train tour. It starts in London, goes across 3 continents, including North America, because they have some boat extensions that you have to take, to get from one side of the ocean to the other.
That's a long bridge.
Yeah, long bridge. Even across the Bering Strait, that would be a little iffy. But yeah, so picking up, they're only selling 12 tickets for this trip. 12 tickets
for 100 days.
For 100 days. If you are a solo traveler, it's like 115,000 pounds because it's priced in pounds. But if you bring your wife, you get double occupancy rates, and it's only 90,000 pounds.
90 a piece.
Sounds fun.
I mean, but at the end of the day, like there's only a certain segment of the population that you are marketing to for that kind of a trip.
Yeah.
And it's certainly not a segment of the population I'm marketing to.
Like I'm not going on that. I'm not spending 100 days on a train.
I wouldn't either unless I just had, as everybody likes to say, if I had fuck you money, I might.
And time. And if you had the fuck you time, I don't have the patience for that. I don't think it'd be nice, but
I would work on the train. There's no way I couldn't not do stuff while you're on the train. I mean,
that's a long time.
I'm also really intrigued by these resident cruises that they have now, where you
Those
can
are
like,
kind of wild. Where you like, is that where you like buy the thing?
yeah, it's like a condo on the ocean, and
Yeah.
you buy your cabin, and then you have like a maintenance fee every month. And so I just saw one, and it was like $100,000 was the buy, somewhere right around there, and this was a few years ago, so it wasn't like, it was probably a couple years ago, but it was $100,000 for the buy and $3,500 a month, and you basically live on the cruise ship.
But that's probably all your food and everything.
Oh yeah,
Like,
it's all your food, liquor, the whole nine
Right on
yards,
that.
man.
It's not
The
that far online.
entertainment's, yeah, the entertainment's on board. The whole, I mean, it's a cruise, and you got a pool, you got stage shows, the whole nine yards, and and most importantly, the food. You don't have to cook it; it's fabulous. You never have to do dishes.
Aren't those smaller ships though? Like, aren't they like?
Right now, they are.
Yeah.
Because they've all bought cruise ships that the major cruise lines have been decommissioning, and so they buy them.
Come in and try to Airbnb them.
Yeah, that's already part of the market, man. They're Airbnb them, because when you're on one of those cruises and you're going around the world, right? When the ship comes into Miami, the ship comes into New York or Baltimore or Los Angeles or wherever, my kids live here in the States. I'm hopping off. And I'm not just hopping off to go do an excursion for the day. I'm hopping off, catching a flight, going to Kansas City, seeing my family, and I'll probably, stay right there in the area to see my family for as long as I can until I catch the cruise ship in Los Angeles or Seattle or whatever, just fly out there and hop back on. And in the meantime, yeah, Airbnb that shit for somebody to take a Panama Canal cruise, pay part of the bill. Absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't have to be there all the time.
They go on Carnival. They go on a Carnival cruise where they have all the fights. You have like,
oh man, I try to steer people away from Carnival on purpose. It's like, if you're gonna go on a Carnival cruise, I got a better idea. Just hear me.
I don't know how to fight.
In Carnival's defense, I have never seen a fight on a Carnival ship. I've only been on like 2, so whatever, but I've never seen a fight, and I've never not had a good time. The reason I don't like them so much is because I don't feel like they take as good a care of their ships as other cruise lines. When you get on a Carnival cruise ship, you kind of like just, there's not much polish on them,
Right.
And you get onto another cruise ship, even Royal Caribbean, which is loaded with kids, but it's just a little more polished. And I got my complaints about Royal Caribbean. They, like, their teens club is not well policed, and the kids were kind of flooding out of the teen club into the common hallways, hanging out on the stairs and stuff like that. And I'm not mad at the kids. Kids are kids. Teens are teens. Are going to do what they do. But
Right.
If you have a room at that end of the boat, shit, it kind of sucks, man. It kind of sucks. If you're wanting to try to get some sleep or something there,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff going up and down the halls. Like, and then I found out Royal Caribbean is shrinking their teen club.
Their what club?
Their teen club. So they have like a club for so all of the cruise lines have some program for kids. Right. So like if you have little bitty kids, they have a nursery type program. That's actually where my brother met his wife. She was in the nursery and he sold art on the cruise ships. But anyway, they have like the nursery, then they have the middle kids size, they got video games and colorful, kind of a classroom sort of atmosphere. And then they have the teen club for everybody up to like 18 who can't drink. It's like you go in there, they play music and stuff like that. It's kind of a social club, right? But now in a couple of their ships, actually, I think they're going to expand it across the entire class of ships. They're going to end up reducing the kids club or the teen club. And I'm like, you didn't have enough room in that damn club in the first place, right? Like the kids are flooding out into the hallway. But okay, I guess if you say so. But yeah, so
that could be interesting.
So yeah, so George, do you think about Bitcoin today?
Yeah. I haven't really looked at it today.
Did you look at it yesterday?
Had my insights elsewhere this week. Yeah, no, because like we talked about, I don't know enough about Bitcoin. Like I'm not a disbeliever.
Right. You're not a hater.
I participate. Yeah, no, I'm definitely not a hater. I see value in it. For me, we just have so much going on with all our alternative asset offerings that that's just kind of the buzz right now. Haven't had enough time to look at crypto lately. I think I told you even I have I think I put like $1,500, maybe $2,500 in one of the alternatives in 2020. The intention of not expecting to see anything productive from it for 5-10 years. I think we're on pace there. I'm hoping that it, hits big. I think that'd be great. I'm excited about it. But yeah, I haven't been paying attention this week.
SoftBank announced that they're going to be putting $32 billion of their money into Bitcoin. SoftBank. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
And it had a 7-point day yesterday. It went up 7 percentage points yesterday.
Really? I guess that makes sense. I mean, it does seem like the crypto markets do have some sort of, I don't want to say volatility, but reaction.
The volatility is
to
killer, man. I mean,
yeah, I mean, it is there. Like it is there. But yeah, I'm happy to hear that though. I mean, I hope that so I have my allocations to Shibcoin, which
Shiba Inu.
I'm just like, yeah, I was like, whatever. It's 1,500, 2,500 is a low risk.
Do you know how Shiba Inu is made?
Something to do with the dog.
No.
So, yep. You're familiar with Doge, not the governmental agency, right? Like the Doge coin.
I am, yeah.
It's also a dog, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Doge, the Doge coin was created by completely copying the Bitcoin code. It is the exact same, like algorithmically. They're like almost the same. I mean, they just went into the public ledger, copied, pasted, bang, and ran with it. It just doesn't have the limit of 21 million coins. They can make as many of these Doge coins as they want, right? Shiba Inu is a copy and manipulation of Dogecoin. So it's a copy of a copy.
Please keep on going.
It's like the third copy in Multiplicity with Michael Keaton. If you ever saw that, George is probably too young for that movie.
Yeah,
you have seen Multiplicity?
Michael Keaton.
Awesome.
Yeah, no,
Michael Keaton's awesome.
I just Batman. Love him to death. Still a Christian, but no, that's interesting. I didn't know that. At the time, 2020, I was less educated financially. I was just kind of following the trend, allocating money somewhere to be a little bit more useful than just spending it on, bar tab. So it sounded like there was a bit of sophistication at the time. Now, granted, would I maybe invest in Shiba today? Maybe, probably.
Right. Yeah.
I think I'm going to that now, but yeah, I didn't know that. I mean, so educate me a little bit if we can here. If it's a copy of a copy, is there any implication on growth? Any implication on its beta or just its reactionary or response to market trends?
I don't follow it. Like Shiba. I don't follow Shiba or Doge for that matter, because I'm kind of a Bitcoin maxi. I'm like all the rest of them are shit coins. But at the end of the day, I'm sure they do. But there's more of in those others, especially that don't have any limits to the number of coins they can create. There's much more of a. I mean, the crypto market is literally the Wild West of financial markets. I mean, we're going back to like pre-SEC, pre all of the financial regulations days in the 1920s. That's crypto markets, right? That's why I only mess with Bitcoin. I know Bitcoin. I know Bitcoiners. I know the Bitcoin community. I watch the thought leaders in the Bitcoin community. I feel safe with Bitcoin, but with the rest of them, no way. Only if you're just wanting to hop in the casino, man. You want to hop in the casino? I mean, you want to roll your dice. You feel like you've got a hot buzz on a new coin. Fine, whatever, man. get your kicks. But as far as an actual savings vehicle, it's only Bitcoin. It's only Bitcoin. There's 21 million of them. There's 56 million millionaires in the entire planet. And as every financial advisor and former financial advisor's favorite movie character, Gordon Gekko, always says, greed works and greed is good. I don't know that greed is really good, but the point stands. 56 million millionaires and only 21 million Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Millionaires like to have things. And I have things millionaires can't have because I have them. And I don't have to sell them to them. They're going to have to pay a higher price.
Yeah, it's always good to be in that position.
I mean, that's my simple orange pill sale right there, man. You know?
Yeah. So what do we think on my gamble, though? Because I think I agree with what you said about most coins being more of a gamble. And the Wild West thing is very true. I mean, we're starting to see some trends in regulation, like, it hit exchanges, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, some of these coins did. So that's cool.
Oh, yeah.
There's some things developing that I think could be very positive, but, I think you're right. Most of it's a gamble. It's unregulated, Wild West. I think that's part of my hesitation with it. Also, the unique cybersecurity risk is something I'm mindful of because I don't know enough about it, but I recognize it's there. But I do wonder, it's been 5 years since I made that little investment into this alternative coin. How do we think this gamble is going to pay off? I mean, do we think it's going to hit a penny in value? Because that's what
at the end of the day, it'll be, if it were me and I was trading it, the minute I had my principal, I could pull my principal, like if I doubled or something at a point, I'd pull my principal and, now you're playing with house money. Who cares? That's how I would have traded it. That's how I traded Bitcoin when I first traded Bitcoin. When I first got into Bitcoin, I bought in at 9,000. I watched that first run up in 17. I run up to 19,000. I took my principal out and kept the rest in. And that was the start of my stack, and then, and then I forgot about it until 2020. And when the government started giving out cash like Tic Tacs, I'm like, well, I know what I'm doing with this. Like, I'm taking Cantillon effect, people. I'm close to the source of the money. I should take this money and put it into something valuable. And so there it was, and I just started saving my money in Bitcoin. And, do I have, are there, I rode that sumbitch. When 2020, I rode it all the way up from like 44 all the way up to 65. And then I rode that sucker all the way back down to 15. I ain't quitting now.
Yeah.
I rode it all the way back up to 110. I ain't quitting now.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, if you enjoy it and it's working for you, like I don't recommend making a change unless there's some other foreseeable headwind that you're concerned about. I think it's great, man. I gotta admit though, like personally, I do prefer private real estate for what I'm doing a lot right now. I'm just kind of building out a salary for myself using just income I'm generating from some of our real estate deals. And that's a personal preference though. I know more about real estate.
And that's just it. Scarcity. As long as it's something, it's like I tell people who also like, well, why not gold? I didn't say not gold. Gold's great too. If you understand gold, get gold. I understand Bitcoin. The barrier of entry for me was less with Bitcoin. There are some aspects of it that I like better, right? I can carry $2 billion across international borders in my pocket. I'm okay with that. I don't have $2 billion. If I did, I wouldn't be a travel agent. Just saying.
What?
You wouldn't even know you're traveling. Yeah.
But,
I like the open-minded approach to that conversation, Eric. I think we may have discussed Prevail and what I do. Our whole philosophy is based on we believe that the financial planning industry is kind of broken in many different ways. But one of those things, man, is like when I look out and notice in LinkedIn, the market, just conversations I hear, I think that my community, just like the financial planning, financial advisor community, could do a much better job of being a bit more open-minded and taking your approach, so it's not the wrong answer. It's just an answer.
Well,
right?
and when you see big firms like SoftBank, and you see big firms like Cantor Fitzgerald, because they just announced a $3 billion Bitcoin allotment that they're going to be doing, and the guy who ran Cantor Fitzgerald is now what? He's like the commerce secretary, I think. So, I mean, that's positive headwinds in the sense of regulation and governmental action for, in a positive light for Bitcoin. And you have about 5 senators who are super Bitcoin advocates right now. So, I mean, for me, when you talk about real estate, I agree, you should also invest in real estate I'm a Bitcoin maxi in the sense that that's the only digital asset I'm interested in owning. Right.
Actually, I really like that perspective. I think if I were to reinvest in crypto, I'd probably take the same exact strategy, doing something that seems pretty stable in the sense of it is regulated. More about what's going on. I think, man, if I ever decide to kind of dial up the crypto allocation, I would probably just do Bitcoin.
I'd just do a simple DCA, man. Every day I buy a little bit, and it's a very little bit, but I buy it. And it's, it's basically money that like I would have spent on lunch, on a daily basis at work. Right. And that shit stacks up after a while, man. It really does. And when you buy it on the downside, dude, I was loving my DCA at $15,000. I'm telling you now. I was like, it was like buying housing. I mean, the house I lived in before I lived in this house, we bought it in December of 2009, like right as the housing market was returning to an upswing, right? Because March was the bottom in 2009, and it was starting to tick up in December of 2009. And I bought a foreclosed house right then, remodeled that bad boy right out the gate, right? Lived in it for 10 years and sold it and made a bucket, right? Made a bucket.
Yeah.
And and then when I moved into this one, I got it at a good rate, but not nearly as much. But prices are still going up because they're not building homes fast enough. They never will, at least not until the baby boomers are gone.
Right.
So
it's really funny people's perception on that too, because I just had a client tell me like, well, I'm going to wait because I think the market's going to crash. And I was like, you mean the housing market, the prices? And he's like, yeah, I think it's going to crash. I'm like, no. Okay.
Did they say why or based on what he's seeing? Like,
just he just thinks that, because I think it's people that listen to the
doomsdayers,
the media, and everything is,
Well, I think 2008 was just unique. Like there was something else in the background that no one saw or was aware of. But I don't know.
No.
You
don't.
Like,
have you not watched The Big Short? Yeah,
of course.
That lays it all out. That that lays it all out.
I just don't see that problem now. Is what I'm saying. So I'm like, that's curious. Like based on what is it?
The problem in the rat's nest is even worse now. But at the end of the day, here's the thing: it's physical property on land. They're not making any more of it, right? I mean, you can put more houses on open land, but they're not making more land.
Right, and it's just the people that I think people just like listen to the doomsday stuff. If you watch the TV, if you read anything, there's so much.
You let me know when the government stops printing money and stops running deficits, and then I'll start thinking about the idea that the price of house. It's the same way I feel about Bitcoin. You let me know when the government starts running a financially, fiscally responsible ship. Then I'll start worrying about whether or not the price is going to continue to go.
And the problem you have now is like people like myself, right? And my wife that we're empty nesters, and I've got a 3% interest rate on my house. I don't need to move. We're going to move. We looked at moving, but it's like if I was going to move, well, I got to have a reason to move. I'm not going to move just to move.
Yeah.
And there's a whole shitload of us like that. And it's like, because I talk to people like that all the time. I don't want to do that, because when I look at, I'm not going to make a lateral move. I'm too old to just move. So I'm going to move because it's either I'm close to my parents. My dad's going to be 80 this year, or I'm close to my kids. Like, that's the only thing that's going to attract me one way or the other. And other than that, I don't give a shit. So when my house is doubled, I bought my house in 2015. So it's right. Yeah. Right. It's wild. Like, right in Blue Springs, I bought it for $150,000, which 155, I think.
Oh my.
So, it's like I have the equity in the house, and plus I got a 20-year mortgage at 3%. So the principal's going. So I do that in my webinar class. I talk to people like, just buy a freaking house and shut up, because you just making
what I told my daughters.
Payments. And the other thing I preach a lot is, because nobody ever told me, it's like, if you're young, if you don't have kids, or if you have one little kid, freshly married, buy a duplex and live in half of it, because I could get you in that thing for 3% down, and that's like the easiest thing you can make, because other people are going to make half your payment for you. You can live there for a year and do it again. I mean, theoretically, you do it again, do it a couple times. If you're young, do it 2 or 3 times. You've got 6 rental units, and you don't have to worry about working for some asshole ever again. So you can live on your own deal. And that's I've got grandkids. My grandson's 17. So it's like, that's what I've been telling them. I put them both on my access users, whatever you call it, on a couple of my credit cards, probably 3 years ago. So by the time he's 18, he's got a 3-year credit history already. And same with his sister, my granddaughter, she's 16. So I put them both on. They both got, they're on a couple of my credit cards. Like, each one's got like $15,000 or $20,000 limit, And so by the time they're 18 or ready to go, they've got a 3-year credit history on their thing already. So I'm pushing them now. Like, he's gonna be a senior next year, and I've already put in his mind, like, you're gonna own some real estate before you're 20. Like, you're going to own some real estate, whatever it is.
Love that.
So
thanks for sharing that, Mike. I wish someone, my parents would have had that
right.
knowledge.
Nobody ever told me.
Correct.
And I'm big on that with people, and I tell them that all the time. And I understand it takes, like, you have to be able to be okay with living, next to somebody and having them pay your stuff. But if that's just if you select decent people, if you can afford the payment anyway, and you just select people, and then you can get into different theories of how to make that, how to really capitalize on that. Because if you make your payment, and then you could take, you can do it one or two ways. Like, you could take their payment and just pound your principal out too. And so you make your regular payment, and then all of a sudden you're tagging on an extra $1,000 a month principal. Like, that thing will be paid off in no time. You can go get another one.
Yeah, I agree. We teach some of the same things, man. Love it.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing. And I do that a lot with when I talk to young couples on the phone.
I had a buddy who owned a house in one part of town and then got tired of living in that part of town, so he decided to move. But when he moved, he didn't buy because he thought the prices were too high. And so he moved and started renting and was waiting for the prices to come down. And this was like in
they don't go down.
2022, somewhere in there. And I'm like, dude, you just have to get in.
How's that work out for you?
Right. I told my daughter the same thing. I'm like, look, man, she's like, but the interest rates are so high. I'd rather wait till they come down. First of all, interest rates right now, I don't think they're above 7. Are they, Mike? Are they?
They're right at 7.
Right at 7. Yeah. My first house was at 6.8%.
So was mine. 6.8.
And so I got in. I didn't even know any better. My dad bought a house in 1980 at like 15%. right?
Yeah, but that house is probably 30 grand. But
Well, yeah, exactly. The prices were, dollar values were much lower and whatnot. But I mean, he bought it right during the middle of the Paul Volcker spike in 1980, where he spiked interest rates to whatever.
Yeah, I think I might have to too.
But the point is like they will come back down. Now, will they come all the way back down to 2.6? No, but if you're already paying 6.8, 7.2, and they come down to 5, you're going to feel like you just made $1 million.
Right.
Because your payment just came down and you're in the same house. The house is the same quality. And now all of a sudden your house payment just went down.
Also another perspective I've been noticing. So like with the private groups I'm involved with, we have these economists who'll come in and present things to these groups, right? So there's, between Chris Keel, his partner, I think Keith Prather, and there's a group down in, I think, Dallas, who came up to a presentation for a couple of groups I'm in. They all say the same thing with interest rates. Like, if you're in a position to buy the car or the house, just buy the car or the house. You can wait. You're going to be waiting for at least 3 to 5 years, in their opinion. And I think I agree. I'm no economist per se. That's a whole kind of different layer of skill set. But the information presented where we're at, I always tell people, if you're in the position, just do it. Do you really want to wait that long?
Because you don't know how long you're going to wait. You just don't.
Yeah.
No, and my business, they've been telling us, the rates started going up, but in 22, 23, like 23, it's gonna be all right, but 2024 is going to be an election year, so they're going to cut the rates, which everybody thought that makes sense. They're going to cut the rates because they're going to make it look like they're fixing the economy. So you figure kind of spring of 2024, well, they didn't do it, and there's and here we are now. It's like, well, after the election, the rates are going to go down. Well, they haven't, and so now it's like, well, 26 is the year. That's what they're already telling us that shit. So I mean, you have to just I think like I always talk about there's you knew there was going to be a thing where people had to adjust to it, right? People like me's got a 3.5% interest rate, whatever. I got to adjust because when I go to buy it, my next house is $500,000 because the price has gone up, or $600,000. Hold on a minute, right? Because now it's like, holy crap. Yeah. And there had to be an adjustment period where everybody was kind of waiting to see if those rates are going to come back down. Okay, now they're not coming back down. So everybody's kind of used to it. I think we're getting into that point right now where there's more people that are finally like, okay, well, I might as well, I got to do something. So,
and they're not, the rates aren't jumping up so fast. They've kind of settled in at a place.
Right. They really have. And that's one of the most annoying things for me too, is I went through a couple of years ago and I added a whole bunch of realtors on my Facebook page, right? Which is like, you just want to hang yourself. But that's a whole nother story. But you could not find another.
You'd like to connect offline to.
Yeah.
I feel like I recognize some.
As far as a group of dramatic individuals, but anyway, so the thing is like I'm sitting here and I see one of them, 10 of them posted a day, 20 of them. Oh my God, the rates went down the lowest since they've been in a year, the biggest drop in a year. And I was like, what are you looking at? Because I just quoted 3 people today and I didn't see shit. So it's like, and then I get a phone call. I heard the rates went down really far. Did they? Did you? Because no, they dropped at 8. Or something like. I find
my buddy who went to renting, his conundrum. It's like, not only did the prices not go down, buddy.
Yeah,
but the prices went up, and so did the interest rates. Yeah, he sold his old house.
Yeah, so he spent all that money that he made on it probably already.
I'm sure he paid off debt and things like that, or whatnot. Which isn't necessarily an I mean, that's what I did with a lot of the proceeds that I brought in from my last house sale. But at the end of the day, like, dude, you got to get back in the game. That's what I told my girls. It's like, you just got to get in the game. Find what you can afford.
What hit me hard was we sold our last house. Yeah. Because we ended up selling it pretty quick. Well, it was on the market for a real long time in 2015. So it's 2013, 2014. We're on the market for a long time. And we had people walked in. We were about to give up. People walked in and they're like, we want to buy it. We're going to close in 3 weeks. So we're like, okay, fine. So we got out and we rented a duplex, and like what hit me was as soon as I could do my taxes that year, because it was like, holy crap, I don't have that mortgage interest deduction anymore.
Right?
And it cost me $5,000 or something. It was like, whoa, what happened? So I mean, even that alone was enough to be like, oh shit. Like, so I mean, there's a lot of advantages, but I mean, just in like I said in my webinar, I tell people like this is the easiest way to build generational wealth, because if nothing else, you can, like in my house is doubled in value, and my principal's gone down a lot. So just making my payments regular. Now I put a 20-year note, so it's like the difference in that and the appreciation. So you have the forced depreciation or whatever appreciation of the balance going down. So it's like my kids can walk away with a couple $100,000 what they would have never had if I was renting an apartment.
Yeah, it really helped for that. No, that's a really good point, Mike. Thanks for sharing that. You mentioned some things I don't typically mention about real estate, which I appreciate. Totally agree. I would say the coolest thing about real estate, though, is that you can generate income without selling the asset. And I think that is super impactful. I mean, God, that from our investment strategies as a whole, like even in 2022, I mean, we happen to hit a real estate deal that hit 30% return. So that's kind of a unicorn. That doesn't always happen, obviously. But man, in 2022, when shit was just hitting the fan in the market, I mean, real estate had such an impact where those people in that deal were up like 5%. Rather than being down 15, 22.
Right.
So it was just kind of hitting your point home. Just like real estate can be so impactful just because it's not correlated to the market. You don't have to sell that asset.
And it's local. It's not as tied in globally, internationally, or anything else. It's more local. So it's going to hold its value.
Other thing, the reason I got back into I was in the business for a long time and I got out and I got back in 2020, right before COVID. That just tells you how I'm really good at timing shit. Like I'm literally like got my license in January, I think, of 2020. Went down to Slobodski's. I don't know if you know, that's the tailor right across from the Sprint Center or whatever it is, T-Mobile Center, little local tailor shop. Great place. Yeah. I spent a bunch of money on tailored coat and all this shit, and then like got my bang. Yeah. COVID hit. I didn't wear that stuff for 2 years. But it was pretty wild. But my point is with that as well is like the markets can fluctuate up and down, and you've still got that asset, and you can either you can decide it. But one of the things that got me back into real estate, into this thing, was I listened to a guy. There's a guy named I can't even name it. Rick Ruby. He teaches the core training for real estate agents and loan officers, and so I started looking into that. But one of the key things he said is like a market crash. When people say there's a market crash, and it's like, and it's all in the news, and it's a crash, it's like 8 to 10% of the market. It's like the thing comes down, and the activity stops, but there's 90% of it still going on. And so that, like, when you switch your mindset. And I kind of mentioned this in our meeting yesterday. Someone asked me something about the recession. We might go in a full-on recession, and my standard answer to that is like, I'm not participating in that. So you can, like, I don't care. Like, yes, I do care, but I mean, if it happens, it happens. Like, I'm not over here. I don't watch TV.
I find it funny that we might go into a recession now, but in 2020, 2021. We went into a recession, but they decided they were going to change the definition of a recession so that they couldn't call it a recession.
Right.
So I don't
anything you say.
Yeah, I don't buy into any of it anymore.
People still got to buy houses. People still got to sell houses.
Exactly. I still got to eat and put food on the table.
Still got to do whatever. Right. I'm choosing not to participate in them. You guys want to have a recession? Knock yourself out.
Enjoy.
I'm just going to be over here
doing my thing.
Doing whatever.
But non-correlated assets, man, you kind of mentioned that not being correlated to the market, Mike. That's also why we do it. You got to have money parked in other places so that you have options. You have more control.
Right. We go on that world cruise.
Like with a traditional financial plan, this is why I almost left the industry. Actually, if it wasn't for Prevail, I'd probably be out. But we tell everyone, put money in the market, all that good stuff. That's fine. But doesn't always put the client or us in control. A lot of times, you know, you're at the mercy of the market or the government, basically through taxes. And that's just, I don't know. That's why I like moving money to real estate, other things not correlated to the market that are kind of unique that can kind of help out with not having to deal with the market or stress about it. Like, that's why we put people in more control that way. And man, it feels good.
All right, guys.
You know, but
oh,
yeah,
go ahead. Finish your point. Finish your point.
Yeah, no, good. All good. I have to get going to a meeting, but Mike, it was good meeting you on this channel. It sounds like between the three of us, we have some pretty similar kind of philosophical perspectives, maybe on just investing, real estate, whatever. If you'd like to get together sometime offline, let me know, man. It was just a pleasure meeting you.
Absolutely.
Intentional networking. Intentional networking. See how that works? There we go.
Right.
There we go. All right.
Just somewhere fancy, and Eric can buy us lunch.
There you go. Fancy for me. That's like Town Topic. So if you like a triple with onions, I'm down.
Yeah.
So
cool.
I'll take it.
All right, George. Sign off. Tell us. Give us a nice little sign off, and then we'll get Mike and get out of here.
Mike, it's great meeting you. Eric, thanks for hosting again. Love being a part of it. Just how you have fun with the conversations. Absolutely. Look forward to the next one.
Mike.
Cool. Mike Foot with Summit Lending. The premier mortgage broker in my house right now.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's a tough market in that house too.
I am. Yes. I'm in charge of this too. I'm the boss.
Very good, guys. And I am Eric Tiemann, Living Life and Style Travel, here to help you with any of your travel needs. It's been the Living Life and Style Business Roundtable. Today is April 22nd. Like, share, and subscribe. Tell all your friends. Everybody, if you guys know somebody who wants to, who would like to participate in conversations like this on the show, let me know, and we'll add them to the group. Mike, it's good seeing you. I'll talk to you next week. George, it's good having you on. Be good, everybody.